All right, Connor, you had asked what the truck looked like that I use to repair appliances. So this is that tour. And if you're not Connor and you're interested in this, welcome. I'll show you how I repair washers and dryers and cooktops and dishwashers and all that in the truck that I use. This is the truck that I use, and it's just an F-150. The only marking that I have is that right there. It's my personal truck, and the main bag that I use is this one. So when I walk into a house, I have this bag and this bag. This bag is my computer that I use mainly for like looking things up. I don't like do any diagnostics with it, but like if I need to pull up a schematic or something to look at, I have my computer with me. It also has like my readers because I'm 50. I mainly bring this bag in, this over the shoulder bag, and it has a Phillips, it has a 5/16. I have a couple of flatheads, and then this is a 1/4-inch nut driver. I have a couple of band-aids here because you always seem to cut yourself somewhere when there's metal, so I have those on the ready. I have a multimeter. This one has a amp clamp on it. That's super important. I do find myself using that a lot if I'm trying to figure out, like, sometimes the best way to figure out if a dishwasher heater is working is to put an amp clamp on the power cord. You can tell when that amps spike up, you know the heating element's working. It's also good for igniters on gas ovens. Trying to figure that out. I have a nut driver. I try really hard. I might use this to get screws out, but I rarely use it to put screws back in. I'll usually do those by hand. And then the one thing that's not, I'll show you in a moment. You see that orange thing? I'll show you some more in a second, but that is what I use to hold screws. It's magnetic. In here I have a putty knife for like getting into washers and dryers if you have to pop the top. I have a pair of pliers. I have a pair of needle nose pliers, and then I have a box cutter right there. And then on this side this is my light that I use. So, and it's cool because it's magnetic. Like I can do that to it and put it wherever I want, which is pretty rad. The battery life on these aren't very great, which is why there's another one there that's always on the ready. But I also like that it fits in this bag really, really well. Adjustable wrench, and then this right here, I don't know if you can see it, but that's a magnet tool. Like I can use that to, like, if I drop a screw somewhere, I can grab that. And so this bag does like 90% of what I need for it to do, and I just have it right here. Now if I need to get something else, I have these other tubs of tools, and I can always come back and get it. I have in here some tape, like if you need to tape the lid down on a washing machine. This is what I was telling you earlier. This is the orange thing, this one's in blue, and it just comes up like this, and it's magnetic. Like it'll stick right there. So there's that, and then I have in here like a whole bunch of like extra screws and wire nuts and just odds and ends. I have some ceramic wire nuts that you use in places where you got high heat, like an oven igniter. And then I have a ratchet set. If a 5/16 or a 1/4-inch doesn't do the job, I have that. Let's put those back in here. And here, the large misc. I have my drill. I have another light. I have a clamp. These clamps I use sometimes if I'm trying to get like a gasket on a front load washing machine. I don't use those very often. I have some funnels just in case. This is the tool you use to get the little wire thing that goes around on a front of a front load washing machine, and get that back on. That was worth the money. I use that a lot, and makes that job a million times easier. That's super helpful. That's just when you need force. Pull that out every now and then. The way I have this designed is, she'll go back in nicely. Ha! is that I can, when I'm sitting, like if I'm really working on a job and I'm coming back and I'm having to get like tools all the time, what I will do is I'll put this one in the front seat like this, and then I have access to these ones right here. So that one says washer. I have the little star ones. Every now and then you run into that where it's not like a Phillips, it's a weird star thing. Channel locks, I do use these a lot for like washing machine, plumbing. That's super helpful. Actually, those are channel locks. Those are just pliers. This has been really helpful. This is for when you have like a drain hose and you want to clamp it down because there's water in a washing machine and you got to get the drain pump, but you don't want to make a huge mess. That that has been worth it. And then this is a pulley puller. I got this at an auto parts store, and like those little pulleys on the bottom of top load washing machines, if you're having a really hard time getting it, this is really helpful. This is for that little nut thing when you're pulling the inner basket out of a washing machine. I don't use that very often because I don't like to do that. And usually by that time, if I'm pulling a basket, it's probably time to get a new washer anyway. I don't use it a ton, but I do have it. This is nice to have. This is just, if you need, this is just from a Whirlpool washing machine. And if you need to make it think that the lid's locked, instead of like taking theirs off, you can just slam that in there and work on it. That's super helpful. That is that one. Put everything back the way I found it, where it's happy. It's not gonna be happy, is it? Let's try that. This one says priors. These labels, by the way, might only apply to like some of the things in there. Some of it just had to go somewhere, but this is priors. So these are like hooks. Sometimes, you know, if you're trying to get like the console off of a Samsung or an LG dryer, sometimes you need to pry it a little bit. Or if you're getting the agitator or the wash plate off of a washing machine, that's helpful. Same thing, these are also priors. This is a very specialty tool called a butter knife that there's like some very specific LG dryers that it's only so big to get in there and pop it, and so that's helpful. A couple other wrenches. This is for those little rings that go in dryer rollers. Like sometimes they have those little clamps and you have to use this to open and close those. That can be helpful to have. Not necessary, but it does make the job quicker. This one's labeled safety, mainly because I have some gloves in here. I have some eye protection, but this is also a set for, this has nothing to do with safety. This has to do with my my driver having extra bits and things like that. I have some Loctite. I have some petroleum jelly if I need that. Zip ties. Always seems like you need zip ties, so I have that. This is for when you're refurbishing the suspension rods on a washing machine and you're using Ben's Bounce Be Gone, that little blue stuff. I'll use that to like dip it out and add that to the rods when you're replacing those. These are just some metal brushes to be able, like if you're trying to clean up the splines of a washing machine and you want to get some crud off, you can do that. And also a saw. Haven't really needed that very often. This one's called electric. I have my wire cutters and crimpers right there. This is another multimeter on a spare because you use this a ton, and then different elements, like for example this one allows you to do like where you can I can add this attachment and you can clamp it, or this one's really handy if I can find it, like really thin ones, like when you need to get into circuit boards. That's really helpful when you're trying to diagnose that. And then some extra cables here, some extra leads. This is just a lamp cord. If you need to send power to something like a drain pump and you want to see if it works, you can wire this up and just plug it into the wall. And obviously be careful with it. but that has been helpful in diagnosing some things. And then the last thing we have is dryer. Ooh, it's gonna fight me. Those are stuck together. The main thing for dryer is I have a few like temperature sensors. I don't use those a ton, but I have them, I need them. These are just some random extra different kind of screwdrivers. If you're doing the, if you've got a rotor stator situation on a washing machine, always feel like that nut is that one right here. A couple other screwdrivers, and yeah, and then this. I don't use this a lot, but this is a helpful tool when you need to explain to someone airflow, like why, you know, I came here to fix your dryer, and I'm telling you that it's not the dryer's fault, it's your venting. This little tool here, it helps measure just the airflow, and so you put this like right over where the lint the lint screen thing would go in whatever dryer you're working on, and you connect it to the house and you get one reading, and then you disconnect it from the house and you get another reading, and you can show them how restricted their airflow is in their house. So that's just a nice tool to have if you're trying to explain to someone, like help them to understand what the ultimate problem is. So, but that's not necessarily like needed. I do have a little small step ladder. Sometimes I feel like on some of these washing machines it's like really hard to get back there, so I have that. I have a bucket is always a must when you're dealing with washing machines and you're trying to get water. I have a couple of different size scrubbers. I use these mainly on gas cooktops when you're like trying to like clean them up, but they're not lighting really well, or they're not like getting a lot of gas out. So I'll use that. And then sometimes it's good to have some soap, especially like if you're lubricating a drain pump that's getting ready to go back into the system. So that's helpful. I have a hair dryer. Sometimes when you have a dryer belt, it needs to be stretched out just a little bit to get it to fit back on. And so I have that. I have an endoscope where if I need to be able to see, like, you know, where you can like shove a camera up like a dryer vent, or if I want to see underneath a washing machine, I can use that. I don't use that very often, but it is helpful. I do have this long thing with a 7/16. This is if you're taking off an agitator on a washing machine. I already have this ready, where it's long enough to go the length, because that nut's always at the bottom, at the very, very bottom of the agitator. And so I have this combined with this, and I can get that out. Again, I don't use that very often because I don't like to pull inner baskets very often. And then this is my, right here is my dryer vent cleaning tool. This little case is like what an architect would use to like wrap up papers or a poster. But I have like my little brush thing. Let's see if I can get it out for you. It's hard to do this and hold the camera. That's what I'm talking about. Little brush that you use to clean the dryer vent, and then you have these little rods, and you add that. It's, you know, you got to be careful with it. It's a cheap little kit. Anyone that does dryer vent cleaning professionally is laughing right now, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. What else do I have down here? I do have an extension cord, the ability to, like, if I need to get power somewhere, I have that. That's super helpful. Back here, I have a 5-gallon bucket with some towels, especially dishwashers and washing machines. You're always making a mess. You always need a bucket. So that's helpful. Some extra dryer venting is right here. I have a couple extra dryer cords back here. Sometimes you need those. And then I have a shop vac. Shop vac is really nice for if you need to get water out of a washing machine that won't drain. You'll need that. And then that's also, every dryer you open up will always be filthy. It's just the nature of dryers. And so it's really nice if you have the dryer open, you might as well go ahead and just clean it out. So I have that. I wish I had a smaller one, because I feel sometimes it's obnoxious to carry this in just to clean out a dryer. So I wish I had one that was like way more portable, but this is absolutely a must if you're dealing with a washing machine that the tub is full of water and the drain pump won't work. You got to get that water out somehow. So that is a tour of the truck, and that is what I use to repair appliances. I hope that helps.